Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure. Somebody was asking if I had any of these fat tire, balloon tire, all-terrain vehicles, and it turns out there's actually 3 in the fleet, right? This guy here is the one that's in the best condition out of the 3 of them, and I actually had this thing running at one point. This is the tail end of it. You guys can see it's very well buried in here. These things had a real quirk to them. I don't know if anyone has ever ridden one. These guys were set with what I'm going to call sliding foot pegs. When you rode them, the foot pegs obviously were slid all the way forward and your feet would be supported. But if you hit something with the foot peg, right, you went trying to go through too narrow a gap, what would happen is a tree branch or whatever would push the foot peg backwards, at which point your foot fell off the foot peg, and then it hit the ground. And given that you were now standing on the ground, right, the back tire would kind of run over the back of your foot and pull you off the all-terrain vehicle, right? Depending on how fast you were going, it could really lead to quite the spectacular crash. That might be the reason why they no longer sell them. These, the 3 of these have 3 distinct stories. This particular one here was, if you guys remember, the penny saver. Well, that's where this came from. And I've owned this for about 30 years. When I got it, it had an ignition problem. It wouldn't start. It didn't spark. What I did was I replaced the points condenser and actually got this thing running. I then refamiliarized myself with the fact that the foot pegs would push backwards and you'd run your leg over and it really hurt. So during one of the moves, I guess it was the move to this house, I put it up on this shelf, actually built this shelf specifically to put this thing up on it. It climbed up here and it's been buried in stuff ever since. These things, considering they were kind of the first Honda 3-wheeler out there, you would think that they were really crazy valuable. They're really not. Turns out if you take the tires off of them, if the tires are in decent shape, you can actually sell the tires for more money than the entire all-terrain vehicle intact. The other thing is, a lot of times these tires have been, because you can't get them anymore, you can't get the balloon tires. Most of the time what happens with these is the tires go bad and people get wheels, hubs, all that other kind of stuff from other all-terrain vehicles, and they put them on there. For the back ones, they slide right on the axle, so it's easy enough to swap them out. The real value, once again, people will buy those tires off you because they're trying to bring their own back to life. So we talked about this. This was the penny saver deal. There's a partial one in green, and I'd love to show it to you, but it's behind this one, and obviously it's going to be a little while to dig it out, so we're going to wait that guy. It was a scrapyard find. I couldn't believe it. I went to my local town to dump the garbage, right? They used to charge you like $1 a bag for one of those big bags of garbage. So I went in there and there it was sitting. Somebody threw it away. So luckily I had a kid that used to help me out back then, help me load it in the back of I had a Buick. We loaded it into the trunk of the Buick and brought it home. So there's that one. The last one really has the best story, and I saved it for last. Another 3 inches of snow. Have I mentioned I hate snow? Okay, this is the third one You could see it actually started out green. And as promised, the story on this. The person I bought it from actually inherited this one. His father had it out in the Poconos, the Pennsylvania Poconos. So anyway, it belonged to his dad. And his dad had it chained up in a shed, and some kids broke into the shed and stole the original front fender, the original plastic, the original seat, and stole the tires, all 3 tires off of it. He had to chain such that they didn't steal the entire thing, but they stripped it on him. So he wanted to use it. He liked it. Obviously, this was his thing. So he managed to put, and I don't know if you guys could see it, the tires are from a golf cart. All 3 golf cart tires, 3 of them. And that front axle, I'm not quite sure what it's off of. But anyway, so he put golf cart tires on it. And if you could see it, maybe you could see the little 50 on that seat. The seat is off a Honda Z50. And you can't tell from here, but the back fenders are off a Suzuki, I think it was called the Quad Runner 230. 5-speed, hand clutch, 230 cc's, kickstart only, kind of a racing machine. Anyway, so he managed to get those parts together and hack the whole thing together. And he rode it until his passing, until he was no longer with us. Then the guy I got it from inherited it. And he really didn't do anything with it. He kind of had it in storage under a hood of a car. He put it up on eBay, and I think he was hoping to get a lot of money for it. And I think it, I had to go through an auction with it, and I think I was the only one bidding on it. I think I got it cheap. I think I got it for the low bid of $150. That was his starting bid. So that's what I think I paid for it. Obviously, on the other 2, the one from Penny Saver, I think that was around $150 also. And obviously the one I got from the recycling center was free. It was just a matter of, asking the guy. He said, "I don't care," and I threw it on the truck and took it home, obviously. Well, not obviously, you can't see it. So that's the story of its existence. Now let's talk about the guy I got it from. He was crazy cool. He was a metal fabricator, frustrated welder as it were. And what he was doing is he was collecting up all these old cars, 40s, 50s, and he would cut them up and build trucks out of them. And particularly, he would start with a box truck, like a P30. He liked getting them with the Cumming diesels in them. And he would build, long trucks out of them. Some of them to haul cars, and some of the other stuff. I believe he was known, you might even be able to still find him. He called himself the Metal Man. He was a bit of he was crazy and he was cool. And the reason why I said he was crazy is when I came up to him, he was welding in his shop. And his shop, by the way, was like a 2-car garage with an extension on every single side. Pole bonds on the 2 sides and the back to expand them. And then the pole barns had extensions on them. And then, kind of like I would do if my wife, if I didn't have a wife to prevent me from doing it. Anyway, then in the front, he kind of had this lean-to porch type situation that was also full. So he like had to move 1,000 things like I have to move 1,000 things if I ever want to actually work on anything. Anyhow, he was welding when I walked up to him, and the way he turned his welder on and off is he had a wire running into this panel that had a couple of big alligator clips on it. So he would grab, each leg of 220 with the alligator clips, right? And then on the end, he had a wire hooked to the alligator clips. And then he had the wire wrapped around the prongs on an outlet. And when I walked up, he said, oh, let me unplug this. Let me disconnect this. It's a little dangerous. I'd like, yeah, I think so. And the thing is, he had been using it like that for a long time. So, anyway, I just thought that was the coolest story. So, now you've met the 3 of these. What am I going to do with them? Now that I see the seat on this and see that the seat's in decent shape, this seat might get waylaid somewhere. And this 90cc motor, it's kind of period correct for some of the CT50s in the basement, particularly the one that has the 70cc motor on it. Might be cool to smash this motor on it, or to smash this motor onto one of the CT70s, right? I have one of those that I noticed the motor was partially taken apart. So maybe that's what's going to become of it. So I guess that's all I really need to talk to you about. I think you guys could see that foot peg there. See how it's kind of slid back a little bit? So just imagine you're riding along, and I think you could see the hinge right there. Imagine you're riding along and you don't have all your weight on it, but you have some weight on it because you're sitting on the seat, and you brush into something and the peg suddenly disappears from underneath your foot, right? This one, if you actually fill the tires up with air, given that they're golf cart tires, it was relatively low to the ground, so it would really hug the ground, so you could get winging around pretty good on it. The bad thing about it, though, is with those golf cart tires on it, it was kind of a spine jammer. Any bump you hit, it just kind of transmitted it right into your back. So it was a real mean rider. I'm happy to see that the headlights on it, that's kind of a rare find. Even looks like it might be the right one. So that's cool, the bulbs in it. Back when I was picking this stuff up, 30, 35 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, depending on which piece I bought, it was available. Nowadays, you just can't find this stuff anywhere anymore. And if you do find it, typically you find it in parts, and it's very expensive. So I'm really happy that I grabbed up all this stuff when I could. Probably so much of it would have just ended up in the junkyard. So better here and covered than melted down and turned into whatever, wherever it went, Kias or whatever. Anyway, I want to thank you all for dropping by to watch and comment and subscribe. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and get out and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.